Would you like to know how to increase employee engagement by 3 to 5 times? Prove that higher coaching skills impact the bottom line? Avoid common coaching traps and use a science-based approach to coaching? Say yes. Yes? Yeah. Okay, good. Because that's what we're going to cover. So hopefully that's something that will be of interest and use to you. All right, so let's start first of all with a common thing that shows up. You've probably had this show up in your own organization. This is one of Zenger-Folkman's larger telecom clients, and this was a typical organizational survey where managers were asked to assess how well they do at coaching. So they scored themselves fairly high. This question, I think, is a little bit like how many of you are above average drivers? There's probably 75% of us will put up our hand or more. And so this was a bit of that, I think, happening. So then in the same survey, the people reporting to those managers were asked to rate how effective do they feel their managers were at coaching. And they ended up rating them quite poorly, scored them very low. Now, this is not unusual. This happens quite a bit. So what's going on, do you think? Why is there such a big difference? A lot of it does come down to, well, what do we mean by coaching? And what does coaching look like? Let's start with the definition then. So step one for us is what coaching is and what coaching isn't. And so one of the key things is the distinction between training, which of course is a lot more of giving information, developing skills. Lots of times we need to be training. Mentoring, the words coaching and mentoring often get interchanged. And so here under mentoring, we're talking about someone conveying their wisdom, their experience, their guidance. That's often called coaching. The way we talk about coaching here is this last column, that you could almost put the word facilitating in there, or guiding or leading discussions in there. So it's distinct from training or mentoring. Now, all three of these are completely legitimate, completely needed, completely called for, and we need lots of it. But when it comes to coaching, the way we're talking about coaching here this morning, it's in that last column. So let's talk a bit about then our definition of coaching. Here's the definition we use, that it's interactions that help the individual being coached expand awareness. Now, not just the individual's awareness. Who else's awareness might this be? Coaches. The coaches as well. So in that third definition, we're not coming in already knowing what needs to be done. We're not coming in as the mentor or as the trainer with answers. We're coming in, we have an issue or we have a problem or we have a situation or there's a career discussion or something that we need to explore together. And we need to expand our own awareness. We need to then together come up with some of the solutions, hopefully good, superior solutions, and make and implement better decisions, because of course implementing becomes absolutely vital. What gets in the way of coaching? Well, a lot of times what seems to show up is that people say, well, the reason I'm not doing as much coaching or I'm not as effective at coaching is I just don't have the time. That comes up quite a bit. Another one is, well, I don't really get much coaching from my boss. I don't see a lot of good coaching around here. And therefore, maybe I don't really know how or what it looks like, or it's not valued here, that kind of thing. Or I've got really good employees. They really don't need much coaching. I just let them go because they're very self-sufficient and they can just go ahead and don't need a lot from me. So we say, well, those are a lot of things that are raised. It's not an exhaustive list. There's others. But sometimes when you dig down deeper, what seemed to perhaps be some of the real reasons was that maybe I don't want to have the difficult discussions. So that might be conversation skills. I'm avoiding some of the tougher discussions. That might be part of what's going on. I maybe don't really understand or I'm not really clear about the value of my coaching because maybe it isn't real high value. Maybe I kind of suspect that I don't have a lot of those skills. That might be part of it. What is good coaching? That's what we talked about at the outset here. So it might be that I misunderstand that. Or as well, it's not something that managers are asked for a lot. Occasionally somebody will say, well, I'd like your advice, or I'd like some career coaching or something like that. But in the day-to-day work, back to the first point, everybody's just rushing around trying to make things happen. And so it's not something that tends to be raised all that often.